afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Festive Farm Quest. I'm Jenny, and I'm really excited to see all of you here this afternoon with us. We have got such an action-packed schedule today, where we are going to be stepping in to the snowy boots of 5 farming role models, and I can't wait to get started. But before I do, let me just tell you quickly how you can interact with our session today. So if you'd like to answer any of the questions that I'm asking and let me know your thoughts, you can do that by popping them into the word cloud at the bottom of the screen. Teachers, don't forget there's lots of additional activities on the website that you can use during and after the live lessons, so please do check those out. And don't forget to tag us at NFU Education on social media, because we absolutely love to see everybody getting involved. So now, before I introduce you to our first guest and our first role model, I would like you to do some thinking. Today we're going to be learning all about the 5 freedoms of animal welfare, and these are a set of standards that all animals need to be happy and healthy. So have a think about what they might be, and I'm going to go find our first guest. Brilliant answers, everybody. Well done. So I've come now to our first guest, and that is Shreya, the farm vet. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you start by telling us what are the 5 freedoms of animal welfare and why are they so important?
Absolutely. So the 5 freedoms include freedom from hunger and thirst, freedom from discomfort, freedom from pain, injury and disease, freedom to exhibit normal behaviour, and freedom from distress and fear. We're looking to ensure the health and wellness, not only physically, but mentally for these animals.
And that really is the foundation of everything that you're doing as a farm vet, isn't it?
Absolutely.
What's a day in the life of a farm vet like, for example?
So a day can vary. We sort of split it between what we'd call routine work and emergency work. So the routine work is kind of, as it says, it'd be generally pre-planned. A lot of that is to do with preventative healthcare. So we might be, for example, looking at cattle to see whether they're pregnant or not. So that helps inform the farmer how they're going to manage them for the rest of the year.
And when you say manage them, you mean how they treat them?
Yes, absolutely. So
and look after them.
Exactly. Which diet that those animals might receive, when they need to almost be put onto a different diet to take a break, and to help with milk production, and also to help the farmer understand when he needs to be monitoring them at their imminent due date. The other things that we would sort of look at in terms of sort of prevention and to help with management on a farm is we might be doing surveillance. So that could be looking for diseases or assessing what the animals are being fed and whether we can make any improvements to those situations. With emergency situations, we're generally called on the day. So that can be a real sort of NEEN or ambulance emergency, most of which tend to be dealing with around the birthing process. So whether that's the issue of getting the baby out or whether it is the post complications after following birth, basically. We obviously also get called to sort of sick animals that might just be dull, depressed, have reduced food intake, and sometimes that manifests in a group of animals. Most commonly things like pneumonia tend to be the ones that we would be called out to, or if they've had access to something that they shouldn't have done, and that would be more of a group setting.
So for example, so in that sort of example, it would be the farmer that would, because they know their animals so well, they know how to check on them and check they're happy and healthy, they'd notice that something was wrong and then they'd give you a call.
Yes, so majority of the times farmers will be going out normally at least morning and night to be checking around their stock, and they really do get used to how their animals behave. So the subtler signs that they're looking for is animals hanging back, not seeing animals eating as they should do, and those kind of trigger alarm bells. There's obviously the sort of pet animals that tend to follow farmers around or particularly friendly, and because these guys are day in, day out with their stock, they soon pick up if there is something wrong and if anyone's breathing heavy or if they're just not behaving how they would expect them to.
Yeah. Okay, and so what are we doing here today?
So today we're going to be doing a health check on one of the animals at a farm today. So we've got a sheep here with us, and we'll be going through exactly the process that I would normally go through to clinically examine an animal.
And try and work out what was wrong with them if they were poorly. Brilliant, amazing. Okay, everybody, it's our turn to join in and be farm vets. So what I'd like you to do is to fill in your veterinary notebooks using all the observations that we're making as we go through this sheep health check. Let's go. Okay, everybody, we're ready with Sheila the sheep. Can you talk us through everything that you're going to do for this health check?
Once we've got our hands on the animal, we normally start at the face end. So I would be checking up in the eyes to check if there's any discharge on both sides. I'd be doing the same at the nose. And then when we're checking the mouth, we like to have a look that they have the teeth that we would expect them to have. So sheep can be aged by their adult teeth and by their baby teeth. Similarly, we will also have a look at their gum colour, and we want that to be nice and pink. And then we generally push a thumb or a finger on the gums just to check that that is refilling with blood, and it gives us a good idea whether there's good circulation to that area and probably to the rest of the body. The other thing that we also like to check is down the sides of the face if there are any lumps or bumps, because sheep need their teeth. They're using them 24/7 pretty much. And just at the angle of the jaw, we have two big lymph nodes, one either side. So we would always have a little feel there and just see if they are enlarged, painful or hot. Following on from that, we would generally have a feel down the side of the animal, see if it elicits any pain or any fast movement that would indicate that the animal wants to get away from me, and therefore there might be a problem. And then next we would probably have a little listen to the chest. Firstly to the lungs. So we're listening for clear, nice, even breathing, and that there's no signs of fluid, any pops, any crackles, anything abnormal for us. The other major structure that would live in the chest would be the heart, which is on the left-hand side of the animal, so it's easy for me to sneak up underneath and have a good listen to her.
And how does it sound?
So it sounds very much normal. We've got two good heart sounds there. It's very clear to hear. It's a little bit fast, but Sheila's probably a little bit stressed being handled by me. I'm not her normal keeper, so she might be a little bit taken back.
She doesn't know you, so she might be a little bit,
a
little bit nervous.
The other thing that we also like to check is that there's no pain on their neck or their back. Sheep are very strong animals, so they can run into each other and headbutt each other. That can be a source of pain, but we've got a nice fluid movement there. One other part that vets use a lot is to look for the condition of an animal. As you can see, Sheila is incredibly fluffy, which is lovely for her, keeps her nice and warm, but it's a little bit hard to tell how much weight she's got underneath there. So we always have a feel over the hip bones and down the sides of the back to just give an appreciation of how much muscle there is and how much fat, and therefore how she's been doing with her eating.
And make sure you're all filling in the notebook, everybody. Make sure you're making your assessments of how healthy you think Sheila is as we go through. And then we'll get Shreya's assessment as well.
So she has 4 stomachs, the biggest of which is her, what we call her rumens. That's on her left-hand side here. And that does a lot of work in sheep. They are basically eating grass, some vegetables, and a lot of what we would call forage. So that's very fibrous material. And this rumen has to process all of that and give the animal energy. In order to do that, it needs to be working. So we want to be listening for good, strong contractions, and that there's also no excessive swelling there or any pain. We would repeat that on this right-hand side to have a listen for any excessive gas, any pain, or again, any swelling there.
And how did it sound when you were listening?
So she's let out a good, what we would call contraction there. So she's squeezing her stomach to move the material around in there, which gives it a good old mix, like in a cake mixer, and allows her to process the food to the best of her ability. And then lastly, what we would look at in any of our animals is taking a temperature. So we normally do that from the back end of the animal. We won't do it to you today, Sheila, because you're looking pretty fit and healthy.
Yeah.
And with any sort of reproductively active animals, so that would include your rams as well as your ewes, you'd be looking for the reproductive organ health. So in a ewe, we would be looking, as well as her back end, to check that it's all clean and nice and healthy. We would also check underneath that her udder is okay, which we have a little objection to, which is fair enough, Sheila. And that doesn't feel swollen at all. Obviously, at this time of year, sheep aren't generally lambing, so her udder is quite small, but it's non-painful and there's no scar tissue there, so we're pretty happy with you.
So, is she a healthy sheep?
I'm happy with you, Sheila, yes.
Amazing. She passed the health check. That was absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for giving us such a brilliant insight into the work of a farm vet. I really felt like a farm vet myself then. Just one more question before we go. A top tip maybe for anyone who might be thinking that they'd like to be a farm vet?
Yes, absolutely. It's a hard job, but it's an incredibly rewarding job. And if you're armed with perseverance, then I think you've got the skills that you need to make it. So don't let where you start hold you back in any way.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody, I'm going to go to the next stage of my festive farming quest. And while I do that, have a go at this question. Brilliant answers, everybody. And as you can see, I have come to a very exciting next place. I am here with Farmer Daisy and her magnificent camels. So thank you so much for having us here on the farm. I've certainly never, ever been this close to such huge and magnificent animals before. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Absolutely. So we have a herd of 13 camels here on the farm, both types of camels as well, as you can see. And we do lots of different things with our camels. So we do camel hire and we go all over the country. For a couple of years, we had a camel dairy. So camels are mammals, and they not only give birth to their calves, but they also produce milk. So we were producing camel's milk and camel's milk products.
And can you tell us a little bit about how that's different to cow's milk?
Absolutely.
I've never had camel milk.
So camel's milk is a superfood. It's really rich in vitamin C, amazing for your skin. It's rich in protein as well, super high in healthy fats. And also, if you're lactose intolerant, you can drink camel's milk.
Wow, that's amazing. And so obviously camels are really, really interesting to look at. They've got some really distinctive traits. Can you tell us a little bit, talk us through these traits?
So we've got two types of camels. You've got dromedary camels, which are your one hump camels. These are your Middle Eastern African camels. They have one hump and they have a much thinner coat than their Bactrian counterparts. And then you've got your Bactrian camels, your two-humped camels. Now these are your Asian camels, so they come from places like Mongolia, Russia, Kazakhstan, very, very cold places. Bertie's father was from Russia, which is why he's white as well.
Oh, because of the snow?
Because of the snow. And so they have a much, much thicker coat compared to dromedary camels.
Yes, yeah, you can really see the difference here. And then
Absolutely.
what about the humps? Some of them have got one hump, some of them have got two.
So we don't know why one camel has one hump and one camel has two humps. It's sort of one of life's mysteries to a certain degree. But what we do know is that up until a certain gestation in the womb, dromedary camels actually have two humps and they merge into one.
Oh, wow. So all camels, when they're like fetuses in the womb, they all start with the two?
Yes.
That's amazing. Wow, I never knew that. So can you talk a little bit more about how the traits that make these camels adapted to their environment?
Absolutely. So first of all, we have to talk about a camel's hump, the most iconic thing about a camel. Their humps are not full of water, they're actually full of fat.
Okay, and why do they have that?
So it's to keep them going if they're on a really long journey through the desert, or if you think about the conditions that they live in, the food source is very sparse.
Yeah.
So they have to be really, really careful. So that hump, that fat supply, is an extra thing to keep them going. I sort of compare it to, imagine you're on a journey through the desert and you've got a rucksack full of food on your back. The more food you eat out of the rucksack, the more the rucksack deflates. And that is exactly what happens with a camel's hump. So if you see camels with really small humps or with floppy humps, it's because they don't physically have enough fat in them to keep them upright.
And so you can see here, these are obviously very well looked after, very well fed, because they've got huge humps.
Yes, exactly. And then we have a couple more adaptations which are very specific to camels. So if you look at a camel's face, for example, you look at their noses. We've got round nostril, dogs, horses, they've all got round nostrils. Camels don't, they have little slits as nostrils. And this is so in a sandstorm or a snowstorm, they can completely close their noses and only breathe through their mouth, protecting their airways from getting anything in them.
Amazing.
We also have a camel's eyelashes, like you, Jenny. Beautiful, luscious eyelashes. I'm very jealous personally.
I'm jealous of the camels.
So they have these really, really thick eyelashes, again, to protect them during sand or snowstorms. They also have 3 eyelids. So they've got their top eyelid, their bottom eyelid, and then an eyelid that comes across. And again, this is so they can completely close their eyes and stop anything getting in their eyes during a sand or a snowstorm.
Absolutely amazing. That's so clever. And then what about their feet? Because they keep sneaking up on me because
They
they
do.
tread so lightly, don't they?
They're really
Can you
quiet.
talk about their feet?
So camels are ungulates. They're part of the ungulate family, which means that they have 2 toes and they have flat feet. Now, this means, number one, they're very quiet. But as they walk, their feet actually spread out. So their body weight is more distributed. So when they walk across sand or snow, they don't sink. They sort of glide over the top instead.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. And this is a really good way to remember back to our last set of live lessons where we learned all about animal adaptation. And that's the reason that the animals have these special features is to make them really well suited to their habitats, to their environment, and to make them more likely to survive and then pass those traits on to the next generation. And we learned all about that in our last series, if you want to go and have a look at that. But we also learned about that this happens through inheritance, doesn't it?
Yes.
And that's when the parents pass on specific genes and traits to their offspring to create a new generation that's similar to its parents but not identical. And on the topic of inheritance, you have a special treat for us, don't you?
We do. We actually have some footage from one of our calves this morning.
Oh my word. Let's have a look at that, everybody. Wow, so talk us through what's happening.
So this is one of our mums, Zenobia, and she is giving birth to her very dear little calf. In this video, you can see that the calf's head is out, which is really, really good. So what we look for is the head out and the front feet out first. This is a really good position because if her head was inside and we couldn't see it, we'd be getting a little bit worried. So this is a great position for the calf to be in. You can also see that the calf is covered in a bit of goo. This is the amniotic sac, and this is what protects the calf whilst it is growing in the mother's stomach and protects it inside. Now you can also see that mum is having a look at us. She's coming to us for reassurance because she's a little bit uncomfortable right now and in a little bit of pain. She's moving around a lot as well, trying to push the calf out and get into a comfortable position. And here is the calf up and well. The calves tend to be on their feet after about 3 hours, and she is looking for the teats in order to get the milk because they need milk within 24 hours. It's really important they get their colostrum. But mum and calf are both healthy.
Wasn't that amazing, everybody? I can't believe that we were able to see that today. That is certainly an NFU education first to have a camel birth in a live lesson. I'm absolutely delighted. So the calf was born really quite large, weren't they?
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit more about that and kind of on the theme of adaptation?
Absolutely. So when camels are born, they are very large. And that is because within 24 hours, they have to be on their feet drinking milk from their mum
Yeah.
in order to survive. If you think about a herd environment, if they were in the desert, the camels would be on the move constantly.
Yeah.
They can't afford to have a baby left behind.
No.
So within 24 hours, that calf is up off the floor, suckling from mum and healthy and strong enough to be able to walk with the rest of the herd.
Wow, that is so incredible and very different to humans, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely amazing. Oh, look, this one's sitting down. So we've been learning about the 5 freedoms of animal welfare. And can you tell us a little bit about how you look after these camels to keep them looking so happy and healthy?
Absolutely. So our camels have access to food 24/7. They're out in the field grazing, or when they're inside the barn, they have hay and haylage.
Yep.
They also have access to water 24/7
Yep.
as well, which is really, really important. Now, space-wise, during the summer, our camels have access to this field all the time.
And it's a gorgeous, lovely, big open field.
Absolutely. The door is open to the barn and they can go in and out as they please. During the winter, the weather's a little bit colder and it's a bit more muddy. So they don't want to go out a lot
No.
of the time. And what we do is we make sure they have a really, really thick bed in the barn for them, full of straw. They have access to hay all the time. And then we let them out for a couple of hours during the day. We let them run down the drive to one of our other fields here on the farm. They can stretch their legs, they can play, they can bounce about, they can have some other food, and then they go back in.
Amazing.
So it's really important that we make sure our camels are always fed, watered, and they have a really, really comfy bed in.
Yes, and they've got loads of space to play as well, haven't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and loads of companionship.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, I could stay here all day, but it's time for me to move on to the next stop on my quest. So while I do that, I would like you to do 2 activities for me. First of all, can you fill the Venn diagram in to compare and contrast the 2 animals that we've met so far, the sheep and the camels? I'd like you to think specifically about their roles in agriculture, their adaptations, and also what classification of animal they are. And then secondly, can you use all your learning about animal welfare to continue to complete your veterinary notebooks? Off you go. Welcome back, everybody. I have come to the next stop on my festive quest, and that is to a mistletoe farm. So I'm very excited to introduce you to Farmer Mark and Fly the dog. So thank you so much for having us here on your farm. First of all, can you tell us, where does all this mistletoe come from?
So the mistletoe comes from our apple trees.
Apple trees.
Yeah, so we grow apple trees to make cider in this orchard,
Okay.
and the mistletoe is a byproduct, so it grows on the apple trees as a parasite.
Wow. And so when you say a parasite, you mean it's like a parasitic plant, so it takes nutrients and what it needs from the host plant, the apple tree.
Yep, so it takes the nutrients from the apple tree to grow.
And so how does the mistletoe get on the tree in the first place?
So the mistletoe is spread by birds.
Oh.
So the birds try and eat the berries in the middle of winter,
Yeah.
and then they get stuck in their beaks and they rub them onto the trees, and the berries grow from that.
Wow. So rather than growing in sort of the soil like lots of plants that we might know, they grow their roots onto the branches of trees.
Yeah, so it's a separate plant to the apple tree,
Yeah.
but it uses the nutrients from the tree to grow.
That is absolutely incredible. And in Key Stage 2, we learn a lot about plant reproduction. And mistletoe is another really fascinating example of this. Can you tell us why?
So the mistletoe has two different types, male and female.
Oh.
The female has the berries.
Yep.
So if you look on the plant, there's female on the berries.
So that's the traditional mistletoe that we think of with those really distinctive white berries. That's
Yeah.
the female plant.
Yeah.
And then what about the male plant?
So the male has no berries. It just has something which pollinates the female berries in the springtime,
Yeah.
which makes the berries grow in the winter.
So you've got the male plant that produces the pollen, and then the pollinators, the bees and the insects, they come along, get the pollen, and they then use that to pollinate the female plants, which is where there's flowers on that, and that then turns into these lovely white berries.
Yep, that's correct.
Absolutely amazing. You would never know that this was an apple tree. It looks like it's a mistletoe tree because there's so much mistletoe on it. This is such a fascinating example of how living things all depend on each other for survival. Absolutely amazing. Okay then, before we go to the next stop on our quest, Farmer Mark, could you tell us if there's anybody watching that thinks they might like to work in the outdoors or work with plants, can you give them a piece of advice?
My advice would be to get as much experience as you can. Try and go and work, 'cause there's so many different options and places you can work outside. Try some few things to understand where you feel that you're going to be best working.
Amazing, thank you so much. Okay everybody, I'm going to give you a question to check your mistletoe understanding, and then we're going to hand over to my friend Josh. Off you go.
Hi everyone, I'm Josh and I'm here with Lucy and James, who are turkey farmers, and they're going to give us a turkey masterclass today. So we've already seen some camels, we've seen some sheep. Lucy and James, how are they different to those animals, and what's it like being a turkey farmer?
Hi everybody, I'm Lucy
And I'm James.
and we're turkey farmers. So our turkeys are a little bit different from camels and sheep and other mammals.
They're basically born from an egg, and they are hatched from the egg, and then we rear them to full maturity as birds that you see now in front of you.
Our turkeys have sharp beaks and they've got claws as well where they can perch high up once they've reached full maturity. They can't swim though, even though they're birds.
No, and the reason they can't swim is because they're not bred to do that. Then they haven't got the natural waxing that another poultry would have, like a goose or a duck.
There must be a lot that you have to do every day to look after them. So can you tell us a little bit about that? But just before you do, everybody back in the classroom, remember you've learned about the 5 freedoms already today. Can you make sure you use your veterinary notebooks to note down any examples of the 5 freedoms for us?
When I get up, the first thing I do is I'll come out, I'll bring a wheelbarrow round, and it will have fresh straw in it, because we like to give the turkeys fresh bedding every day. What we then do when I'm in the shed is I'll check all their water troughs and I'll clean their water troughs out. We'll make sure that the food that they've got is all filled up, because they've got access to food and water 24 hours a day.
Fantastic. And what kind of food do they eat?
So they're on a specific turkey diet. You know, we all eat lots of different things, and basically we make sure that the turkey pellet that they've got has got all the goodness and the nutrients that they need to be able to grow and be super strong and well.
What other things do you do to help support them to make sure they're living a happy turkey life that these certainly do? They're very inquisitive. I was being pecked there a second ago.
So our turkeys have turkey toys. James makes turkey toys out of tins of coffee once they're empty, and hangs them, and they're super inquisitive and they play with them. So similarly to what you may have at home, maybe not a games console, but they have their own toys.
Yeah, and they'll all crowd around that toy and they'll peck it and they'll love the sounds that it makes, and then that in turn basically will bring other turkeys to it, and they'll play together and you know, have a good time basically.
Fantastic. And is there any time of year that you have to look after them especially, or that's different, that you have to give them a little bit of extra love?
Yeah, I think at the minute our worrying time is coming up because obviously, you know, you guys are all getting excited. Bonfire night's approaching, but for us, turkeys aren't used to loud bangs and flashes, and obviously the fireworks are let off at night. So what we will do to ensure the safety and welfare of these guys and make sure that they're happy on bonfire night is we will all be walking around the sheds because they're used to all of our voices. So they, you know, we'll go in and we'll talk to them and keep them calm until such that the firework display has happened, and then we'll make sure that they're all safe and happy.
Fantastic, they're part of the family. So these turkeys, they weren't born on the farm, were they? Where do all these turkeys come from, and how does that happen?
So we're very fortunate in the UK that we've got two what we call hatcheries. So we approach those hatcheries and we order so many baby turkey poults basically. So we, you know, going back to what we were talking about earlier, these are hatched from an egg. And then once they're hatched from the egg, they'll come to the farm as a tiny day-old chick, and that chick would sit in the palm of my hand, and then we basically provide all the heat, the light, the love that grows the turkeys to what you see before you now.
And of course, these turkeys, the other end of their life, they're going to up on our dinner plates. And what's really important is that we choose to buy a British turkey. Why do we want to do that? Why do we want to buy from local producers like Lucy and James? Well, because they've been produced to some of the highest animal welfare standards in the world. So buying local means that you can buy just that, all the love and care that you've seen Lucy and James give today. So thank you so much for having us, Lucy and James. Now we're going to go over to Jenny, but just before we do that, I've got a classification activity for you to do. All of these turkeys are birds, so they've got beaks, they've got feathers, they've laid eggs like you've seen. Use some of that information to do the classification activity. Off you go.
Welcome back everybody. I've come in from the cold now and had a chance to have a quick change, and so I'm very excited to be at the next stop of our afternoon of festive work experience. I am standing in the new product development kitchen of the world's oldest Christmas pudding producer, which is called Matthew Walker, and I'm very, very excited to introduce you to our next speaker. It is Will. Thank you so much for letting us in here, because this is a top secret location, isn't it?
It is very, very secretive. We don't let many people in here.
No, so we're very lucky today, everybody. So Will, can you tell us about, what is your job, first of all?
Yes, so I'm a product development technologist.
What does that mean?
So what we do is we come up with the concepts, the ideas, and create products for the major supermarkets in the UK and abroad. So we export to places like Australia. So we'll design them, create them, customers sign them off, and you'll see them in the supermarkets at Christmas.
Oh my goodness, so before any of the making takes place, somebody's job is to design all of these fantastic, exciting new products, new recipes. What an amazing job. That sounds so cool. How many, out of interest, puddings do you produce every year?
So we actually produce 25 million every single year.
And that's got to be a huge amount of the puddings that are made in the UK.
Yes, it's predominantly, like, I think something like 95% of the UK and most of what you'll find abroad because we're quite bespoke.
Oh my goodness. So everybody, really, if you've ever eaten a Christmas pudding in your whole life, there's a good chance it was made right here. That's absolutely amazing. We're going to have a look in a second at how it all works, which I'm very excited about. But first of all, you do have an extremely cool job. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got it, your sort of career story?
I joined as a production operative, so I just worked on the lines. I eventually moved into the role of a team leader, and I took a bit of a risk and moved into development as an assistant. So I had no experience with food and no knowledge, but I went into that role. Then I basically took a workplace apprenticeship.
So you've done it through an apprenticeship?
Yes, so it was a food and drink technologist course.
Wow.
So I used that to move as a process technologist, so making sure things will work for the factory. And then I moved back to development, so back to designing the products and yeah, it's just being more creative.
Absolutely amazing. So what are the key skills that are involved in this job that you've developed through that apprenticeship?
There's a lot of more technical knowledge. Obviously, you need to understand how we source our ingredients. So we need to have full traceability of our products.
What does that mean?
So traceability essentially means, if you've ever heard the term from farm to fork, that from when it's cultivated or grown, we can follow that product from that point all the way as it moves through processing, our suppliers, our factory, right up until it goes into the shops. So we can see everything that's gone into that product and we know its complete history of it.
Amazing.
You also need to have fun creative skills. It's not like an official thing, but it's good to know what tastes nice, what doesn't taste nice. So sensory skills, you need to physically eat them as well and make sure it's suitable and everyone else will think it's yummy as well.
Brilliant. So creativity and an interest in food.
Yes,
Fantastic.
that's all you need.
And science as well. Science skills.
That can come later, but as long as you've got the key things, the creativity is key.
Yes, brilliant. So you've designed a new product and it's all been approved and it's ready to be produced. What happens next?
So what we will do is we will take the recipe and we will pass it over to the process team. So they're the process technologists.
Wow. And so now, everybody, we are going to have an exclusive peek at the Christmas pudding production line in action. So let's hand over to Aidan to find out more about this.
So it always starts in the prep area where we prep ingredients. As you've seen, the fruit lines going up. It breaks up all the fruit, goes into our lines upstairs, and then on mez floor, which is where I work, we have all of our dry stations where we add our fruit, our sugar, our flour, anything extra. And then once all that's added together, it goes onto the chutes. We have an operative on the chutes. They scan in the cards so that we make sure everything is correct, as we'll refer to traceability. That just ensures everything in there is as it should be. Sent down the chutes and all mixed together and sent out to the filling department. Once we've gone to the filling department, the completed mix bins are tipped into the hoppers and are pumped into the basins and gone down the production line. Any weight rejects will be pushed out so they can then be refilled by hand to make sure the weight's correct so that no customers are upset with the underweight Christmas pudding. Once it's gone through all to there, they will go through into the steam retorts.
We've had a quick look today at the steaming process, but we're not allowed to film that. And why can't we film that, Aidan?
It's a top secret for us as we steam our products to maintain their moisture.
Yeah.
So it's a top secret for us. We just don't want like getting out for...
You don't want anyone else to get the top secret process. Wow, that's so exciting. So after the steaming, then what happens?
So once they are cooked, they will be left into the whip room to sort of sit there for a day or two, depending on the size of the product, before they're sent to finishing to have either injection on them. Not everything has an injection, but they go for an injection of alcohol, and then they'll be put with a seal on, and the seal will be tested to make sure that the seal is intact. It goes down, has metal detection and another weight detection, make sure everything is okay. It will then be sealed up in the boxes and sent down to the packing room where they can be placed into the boxes and down onto the pallets before they go out to dispatch.
And so these Christmas puddings that we're watching now on the conveyor belt, they are not going to be in the supermarkets for another 2 years, are they?
Potentially, yes. Some can be in this year, some next year, some the year after, and even some
my
potentially
word.
the year after that.
Wow, I had absolutely no idea that it took that long to create these products. That's absolutely fascinating. And what's even more interesting as well is all the technology and the innovation that's gone into producing all of these machines that you use to help you create 25 million Christmas puddings. Absolutely incredible. So Aidan, you've also got a really cool job. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got your job?
So I came here 4 years ago, just a bit like Will, on agency, just as a production operative. I've worked my way around the factory in different departments. I settled in Mez, and I've progressed in there to be the trainer and gone on to apprenticeships, much like Will, into sort of leadership and management, and that's what I'm hoping to do going forward.
Absolutely amazing. So using the apprenticeships, you can learn on the job, can't you?
Yes.
So you can work and you can learn,
Yeah.
and you can progress your career that way.
Yes.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody, I'm going to go now to the next stop on my quest. So have a go at this question and I'll see you in 1 minute. Welcome back, everybody, and here is our final stop on our festive quest today, and a very special treat. We are here on Farmer Steph's reindeer farm, ready to meet her herd of absolutely gorgeous reindeer. Thank you so much for having us here.
That's okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you look after them, these gorgeous, gorgeous reindeer?
Of course. So we have a herd of 21 reindeer. In this field around us, we've got all our breeding girls and calves from this summer.
Calves?
So we've got 5 calves that were born in the spring.
The really fluffy ones.
They are very fluffy and they're about 6 months old now.
Yeah.
This is Star, who's one of our main mums, who's munching away on lichen.
Yes.
So lichen is moss that we import in from Finland. We import it in dried.
Yeah.
And then we rehydrate it and we feed it to the reindeer as treats. And as you can see,
She's loving that.
she's absolutely loving it.
And then what else do they eat?
So we feed them reindeer pellets and then straw and hay, and then they like to munch on the hedgerow and leaves that they find around about the farm.
Okay, amazing. And so we've just been learning about adaptations in camels.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about how reindeer are adapted?
So reindeer have got numerous amazing things. One of them is their vision, so they can actually see in ultraviolet.
Okay.
So this moss fluoresces under the snow.
Wow.
So in the winter they can even find this to eat this, because this is what they would naturally eat in the wild.
And so they have special vision to
Special
find
vision,
it.
so they can find this, and they'll paw away and dig away at the snow and find this underneath the snow.
Amazing.
So this is great for them.
Yeah.
You can hear the clicking in her feet as she walks.
Yeah, what's that?
So that's the ligaments. And so if they're in a blizzard, the whole herd can still, even if they can't see each other, they can hear each other as they're migrating across.
Wow, so they
across
can
the
stay
field.
together through listening.
Yeah, exactly.
That's incredible.
It's good, isn't it? And they've got nice big hooves, so they don't slip and slide. Reindeer antlers fall off and grow again each year. Female reindeer also have antlers. In any other species of deer, it's only the boys that have antlers, whereas reindeer are extra special, so the girls have got them too.
Yeah, amazing.
And they help them defend themselves and their young for the girls. For the boys fight with their antlers to be king of the herd.
King of the herd.
King of the herd. And they receive with this antler here.
That's one antler.
This is one antler from one of our boys. This would have started to grow the end of January and grows all the way through to August when it hardens off.
And they just fall off?
They fall off after breeding season when the testosterone drops.
Oh my goodness.
And then their antlers fall.
Wow.
And then the girls keep their antlers until they've had their calves. It helps protect them when they're pregnant.
Yeah.
And then their calves when they're little, so they keep them for a few weeks afterwards.
Oh, that's so amazing. And they must grow really quickly if they're having new ones every year.
Very much so. So this about 2 centimetres a day.
Wow.
So you can come out on a Monday and then come out a week later, and suddenly you've got a fairly decent size antler already.
That is absolutely
Yeah,
amazing.
it's amazing.
These are such a fascinating example of adaptation, everybody. Is there anything else that we need to know about
What else
adaptation?
can we tell you
What about their
about reindeer?
coat?
So their coats, they're nice and thick. Nobody's coming to us in the minute.
Yeah,
but they've got a hollow fur, which means that they can keep hold of the warmth.
They can trap the
air in it so that they stay nice and warm.
Amazing.
And then with their noses, reindeers do actually have red noses. You can't see it. It's underneath all their fur, but they have lots of blood vessels in their nose, which means that when they're breathing in the Arctic conditions, really cold temperatures, it warms the air as it goes into their nostrils and up into their brain, so they don't freeze their brains.
Wow, that is so clever.
It's clever, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, I have learnt so much, everybody, and I hope you have too. Thank you so much, Farmer Steph.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, everybody. Now that you know what the mystery animal is, you've got 1 minute to finish filling in that Venn diagram with all of the facts that we've just learnt about reindeer, and then we're going to head back to the studio so you can ask your questions. Off you go. Welcome back, everybody. I ran inside with Farmer Daisy and we are ready to answer as many of your questions as we possibly can. So thank you so much for sending all those in, and do keep them coming because they're going to come straight through to my phone, so I'll still get them. But let's go and do as many as we possibly can. Yes. So Farmer Daisy, can you tell us what is your favourite part, the best part about being a camel farmer?
Oh, the camels, hands down. They're like giant dogs and I just love them so much.
They're absolutely amazing, aren't they? Okay, and Maple Class want to know, are camels and reindeers the same height?
Oh, so reindeers are probably about this big and camels are double the size of that. They're about 7 foot tall, so a little bit bigger.
Huge, absolutely huge. And so what's their favourite food? We learned a bit about what they eat, but what's their favourite food?
Camels love carrots and bananas, whole bananas. They'll eat an entire pack in one go.
Okay, amazing. And what kind of personalities do your camels have?
Our camels have different personalities, all 13 of them. They're like individual people. Some are really cheeky, some are very chill. They're fab.
Okay, and so if animals are sick, do you need to bring them to the vet yourself, or do you take care of them yourself?
We do a bit of both. So we know our animals really, really well and we'll help them as much as we can. But if we do need a vet, it's a partnership. We get our vet in and then we work together to figure out what's wrong with them.
Okay, amazing. This is a mistletoe one.
Yeah.
How poisonous is mistletoe? This is from Kite's class in Semley.
Very good question, Kite's class. Very, very poisonous. Do not consume mistletoe. It's for aesthetics only.
Yeah, just decoration, Christmas decorations, yeah. But it's such an interesting plant to learn about. And here's a turkey one. Why do turkeys gobble?
Well, turkeys gobble, obviously, because they talk to each other, but also it's to get the males to attract the females. The better you gobble, the more ladies you'll get.
Do you need to, this is a good one, do you need to care for camels' teeth because somebody says they look a bit dirty?
They are a little bit dirty. In the desert, you wouldn't care for a camel's teeth, so we don't either. However, if we do have a problem with their teeth, that's when we get the vet in.
And so why do reindeer's antlers fall off?
Reindeer's antlers are there as a protection for females with their calves, but also for the males to attract the females. So they take a lot of energy to grow. They're almost 1.3 meters big, some of these antlers. And what it means is that once the reindeers have mated, they drop their antlers to then put all of their energy reserves back into the body to survive the winter instead.
And somebody else is asking, how does a reindeer protect itself once its antlers have fallen off?
Really, really good question, guys. So once the reindeer's antlers have fallen off, because it's not rutting season anymore, they're in less danger than they would be anyway. But they have incredible senses, smell and hearing. And obviously they blend into their environment as well, so they can hide.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. They're such a fascinating, and camels,
Incredible.
such brilliant examples of adaptation. Someone's saying, why do camels spit all the time?
Really good question. So I'm sure some of the camels you guys have seen do spit all the time. Ours don't, and it's all about how they're treated. Spitting is a self-defense mechanism, so if they're really scared or they're really angry, that's why a camel spits. But if you treat a camel really nicely and they like you, they won't spit at you at all.
Yeah, I didn't see any spitting
No.
today. And so somebody's asking, back to turkeys, what is the red thing on the turkey's neck called?
Ooh, very, very good question. You know the answer to this one,
Yes,
Jenny, don't
I
you?
think it's called a wattle. And yeah,
Correct.
It's again back to trying to attract a mate. Okay.
She's good.
So let's have a look. We've gone through so many questions. How often do you do health checks on? How often do you have the vet round to do a health check on the camels?
We only have our vet round when we need them round, but we personally do health checks on our camels every single day in the field when we go and feed them in the morning.
Absolutely amazing. And they're so happy, aren't they, those camels? What's the proper name for a baby turkey?
Oh, this is a good one, guys. So the name of a baby turkey is a poult.
Brilliant. Well done, Farmer Daisy.
well done to all the kids at home.
Excellent questions, because I think I've got through all the lists I can see. That's absolutely amazing. That was such a fast-paced round. Let's just do one more. How do you look after pregnant animals? What's the special care that you need to take after
Pregnant animals, so you've got to really, really be looking at them. That means checks every single day. Also making sure that they're having enough food. You want the mums to be nice and healthy and a little bit on the tubby side, so that when they do give birth and it's a little bit traumatic and uncomfortable for them, they have a good energy supply.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Farmer Daisy. I've learned
No
so
problem.
much, even in just the last couple of minutes. But if you sent a question and it didn't quite come through in time, then don't worry, everybody, because excitingly, our next series of live lessons that's coming next year is all about your questions. So we're going to be sending details to your teachers on how to get involved in that. It's called the Great Farming Question Show, and we're going to be going on adventures to answer all of your farming questions. So make sure you check that out. But all that's left for me to say today is thank you so much for joining us here on our festive quest. Thank you so much, Farmer Daisy, for joining us.
No problem.
And thank you to all of our other amazing speakers. We will see you again very soon. Bye.
Bye.